Hi, in this video, I'll be discussing about one topic from your 12th biology NCERT, that is chapter number 6, molecular basis of inheritance, and my topic is Human Genome Project, which is abbreviated as HGP, Human Genome Project. Now, this Human Genome Project is a project which is launched or which was launched to make or to know the sequence of all the genes, all the base pairs, nucleotides present in the human genome. Why was this need developed? This need was developed because if we know the sequence of the genes present in a particular human, then we can easily get the treatments for any genetical disease. So this was one of the main reason of Human Genome Project. Other than this, some other organisms' genome were also sequenced. For example, the non-human models like bacteria were sequenced. Other than bacteria, we have yeast whose genome was sequenced. Then we have one nematode, that is Caenorhabditis elegans. This is a nematode. And then we have Drosophila, that is fruit fly. Then two more examples are there of plants, that is rice. And another one is Arabidopsis. So these are some non-human models whose genome is sequenced, and now we are going to discuss about this Human Genome Project. This project was basically initiated by US Department of Energy and NIH, that is National Institute of Health. So let's write the next point. Initiated by US Department of Energy, US Department of Energy, and NIH, that is National Institute of Health, National Institute of Health. Apart from these, some other countries also came into contribution for this Human Genome Project, as this was a mega project. Why do we call Human Genome Project as a mega project? Reason: the budget required for this project was quite high. The estimated budget was quite high. So it was said to be a mega project. So let's see how they estimated the budget for this project. So they said that approximately there are 3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs present, estimated by them. Now, these scientists just estimated the cost of sequencing one base pair. So to sequence one base pair, the costing they estimated was $3. So we have a simple mathematics. If one base pair costs the $3 for sequencing, then these 3 into 10 to the power 9 base pairs will cost how much? They will cost us around $9 billion. $9 billion, it is a huge amount, and sequencing the complete genome of the human will require more needs. So it is a mega project. Now, This project started in the year 1990. Now, it was said that if we put the sequences into the books, it will require us a number of books that is practically not possible. So now they used another method of storing the data, and by which they can easily analyze their data also. And we have the term over here, that is bioinformatics. Bioinformatics. This bioinformatics is a technique which uses the biology, computer science, information engineering, maths, and stats together. It is used to analyze the stored biological data. So the complete sequence can be stored with the help of the computers, and whenever we require the sequence for a particular gene, for a particular disease, then we can easily analyze the data, we can easily get the results we want and find the treatments for a particular disease. So bioinformatics was a new technique which was developed with the help of the computer engineers, so that the analysis of the data, storage of the data can become easy. So let's see this bioinformatics. One site is there by US. This site by US is known as NCBI. NCBI. Now, the full form of this NCBI is National Center for Biotechnology Information. Remember, this is one important point. So I'm writing the full form here itself. National Center for Biotechnology Information. Biotechnology Information. Okay, now this is the site by US, which is used as bioinformatics, or which is an example of bioinformatics, we can say. And now let's discuss about this Human Genome Project. So this project, as I told you, started in which year? Human Genome Project started in the year 1990, and they said that it is a project which will take total 13 years. At the point of starting, they estimated that within 13 years they will finish this project. So estimated time to complete was how many years? 13 years. It means in which year they were supposed to complete? 2003. So Human Genome Project was completed, or supposed to be completed, in 2003, but they took 3 more years, and the last chromosome of the human, that is chromosome number 1, was sequenced in the year 2006. So in the year 2006, chromosome number 1 was sequenced. So officially, Human Genome Project ended in the year 2006, that is 3 years after the number of years, or after the 13 years which they actually estimated. So in the humans, how many chromosomes are there? Humans have 22 autosomal chromosome plus X chromosome plus Y chromosomes. In the complete human genome, these number of chromosomes are supposed to be sequenced, and out of all these chromosomes, the last one was chromosome number 1, which was sequenced in the last. Now, next, what is the approach for this Human Genome Project? So basically, these scientists had 2 approaches, means in 2 ways they could start with this Human Genome Project. So let's put the heading approach for Human Genome Project. Now, the first one they had was using using the method of sequencing only the coding DNA. So we'll first write the point, then I'll explain it in the detailed form. Sequencing of coding DNA. Sequencing of coding DNA. So students, DNA will have some of its part as the coding part, which will code for the proteins or other structures. The remaining part is non-coding part, useless part. So if the scientists are sequencing this coding DNA only, then it is known as EST. If this technique is used, sequencing of coding DNA is done. This sequencing is known as expressed sequence tags, EST. Important full form also and their use also, expressed sequence tags. Okay, in this case, only the coding DNA, the useful DNA is sequenced. The non-coding DNA is not at all given any concern. Second approach is that the scientist will sequence the complete DNA. Sequencing of complete DNA is done. Sequencing complete DNA. Now, if I say complete DNA means both coding and non-coding part is sequenced in this case, that is both useless and useful part is sequenced here. This type of approach is known as blind approach. Blind approach because we are not paying attention to which part is useful, which part is not. So it is known as blind approach, and the term given is sequence annotations. Sequence annotations. In this type of approach, what will happen? First, you will sequence the complete DNA. Later, we'll assign the different regions in sequence with functions. So first of all, the sequence of complete DNA is done. After sequencing the complete DNA, we'll just assign the different regions in sequence with functions. This is known as sequence annotations. Another one important point, or the second approach for Human Genome Project we have with us. Next we have is goals of Human Genome Project, and after that we'll see the technique or the method used. So let's put the heading goals. So number one means these all points are given in your NCERT. You are just trying to learn all those points so that if the question is asked, we can easily get the answer from the question. The first goal is identifying all 20,000 to 25,000 genes in human DNA. So before the sequencing was done, it was estimated that the total number of genes in human DNA are around 20,000 to 25,000 genes. These are the estimated number of genes. Okay, so first one is what? Identify all 20,000 to 25,000 genes in human DNA. These were just the estimated number of genes present in the human DNA. The second goal is to determine sequence of base pairs. So second one is what? Determine sequence. Determine sequence of base pairs. Number three, these are easy to learn. Store information means once we just sequence the complete genome, we'll store it and we'll use it for further analysis. Store information. Number four, improve tools for data analysis. Improve tools, just like we use maths, stats, computer science, etc. for data analysis. For data analysis. Number 5, transfer related technologies to other sectors like industries. So transfer technologies so that maximum benefits can be obtained with the technologies or from the technologies. Number 6 we have is to address ethical, legal and social issues. To address ethical, legal, social issues, together known as LC. So they formed the groups who were addressing the various ethical, legal, social issues which were developed because of the concerns of different people for the Human Genome Project. Remember, this project was not at all in the private. All the researches, all the data were made public, were given in the newspapers. So next is method of Human Genome Project, or method used in Human Genome Project during sequencing. Initially, for sequencing, what do we need? We need the nucleic acid, the genetic material, that is DNA. So the first step will include extraction of DNA. For this extraction, we just take a sample which has cells. From those cells, we take out the DNA by doing cell lysis and using various enzymes. Now, after extraction of DNA, the second step is use of restriction enzymes. Use of restriction enzymes. These restriction enzymes are also known as molecular scissors because they just cut the DNA at specific site and convert the DNA into DNA fragments. Remember, restriction enzymes, also known as molecular scissors, they cut the DNA at a specific site. Now, these restriction enzymes will form what? They will form fragments. These fragments of the DNA are known as the passenger DNA or foreign DNA. Fragments of DNA, what they are known as? Passenger DNA or foreign DNA. Okay, now this passenger DNA will be carried by a taxi, right? Passengers, who will take the passengers from one place to another? The taxis takes the passenger from one place to another. So like this, the passengers or these fragments will be taken by the taxis. Taxis are the vectors. The gene taxis are the vectors. So point number 3, vectors bracket gene taxi. What they will do, they will carry the DNA fragment or passenger DNA where? Into to their target. And what is the target? The target is host cell. Into host cell. Clear? So these terms, keep in mind, vectors are the gene taxi which carry the passenger DNA, that is DNA fragments, into the host cell. Now, the host cell can be a bacteria or a yeast cell. Both the possibilities are there. It can be either bacteria or yeast. Bacteria or yeast. Now, the type of vector we use depend on the type of fragment and the type of host cell. So basically, we have two types of vectors. So let's write the vectors here. That is TXI. So two type of vectors. One is bacterial artificial chromosome, and another one is YAC, yeast artificial chromosome. Now, this bacterial artificial chromosome takes the DNA fragments which are small in size, whereas YAC can take the DNA fragments which are larger in size. So we can say that BAC are small taxis and YAC are large taxis. Now, for Human Genome Project, we humans always prepare large things, and so we use the YAC because of our requirements during sequencing. We use the vector as the YAC as the vector, since it can carry the sequences with large number of base pairs. The long sequences can be carried by YAC. So remember, YAC was used in Human Genome Project. Now, next point is that the YAC will carry into the yeast and BAC will carry into the bacterial cells. Now, once the host cells receive the vectors plus DNA fragment, so let me write here, vector plus DNA fragments means the passenger DNA. These two will enter into the host cell. This blue color is the host cell. Once they enter into the host cell, what will happen? They will increase their copy numbers. The number of the DNA fragments will be increased. So what happens inside the host cell itself, increase in copy number of the DNA fragments or the foreign DNA. Why foreign DNA? Because it came outside into the host cell. So the one who comes from outside, we call them as foreigners, right? So here we use the term foreign DNA. Now, once the copy number is high, we have a large number of these DNA fragments. We can sequence them using a method known as Sanger's method. So sequencing was done. Sequencing using which method? Important, remember the name of the method, that is Sanger's method. Now, the sequencing is done completely. Now, the next point we have got is preparation of genetic and physical maps of the genome. Once we have completed sequencing, now we'll form the maps also. By the help of maps only, we will be able to know the location of genes, right? The location or the sequence of base pairs. So what is the next point? Preparation of genetic and physical maps. Physical maps on genome. Okay, so what is done here? Two methods are there for this mapping. Both the types of mapping, two methods. The first one we have is using restriction polymorphism. Restriction polymorphism. Here, the restriction endonuclease enzymes are used to cut the DNA at specific sites. Second one is microsatellites, using microsatellites. Using microsatellites, These microsatellites are the repetitive units. Repetitive units means in the complete DNA, the sequences of the base pairs are repeating again and again. Those repetitive units are microsatellites and are used for mapping on the genome or mapping of the genome. So now the last part we have got is saline features of the Human Genome Project. So the observations which were done from this HGP are given in your NCERT also, and we are going to discuss them here. Number one is the total number of nucleotide bases present. So the human genome contains how many numbers? Total number of nucleotide bases. What is the number? 3164.7 million. 3164.7 million. These data given in NCERT are very important. Mark them, underline them. Now, the average gene consists 3000 bases, but the size of the genes vary from one gene to another, and the largest gene in the humans is known as dystrophin gene. So largest gene is dystrophin. This we got to know from HGP, largest gene, dystrophin. Dystrophin. Next point, we said that the number of genes are very high, but the total number of genes is estimated at 30,000 chromosomes. Sorry, 30,000 only, which was much lesser than what we estimated. So number of genes estimated. How much? 30,000. Now, this dystrophin gene was present or is present on X chromosome. What is the location of dystrophin gene? It is present on X chromosome. Means it is found in all the humans because males and females both have X chromosome present in them. Now, almost all the nucleotides, that is 99.9% of the nucleotides are similar to each other. Only 0.1% nucleotide bases are having different sequences or are different. And from that difference only, we all humans are different. No two humans will have the same genome 100%, exception monozygotic twins. If the twins are born from a single zygote, then they will have 100% same genome. Else, even in the dizygotic twins, the genome difference will be there. Next is the functions are unknown for more than 50% of the discovered genes. So functions unknown for more than 50% of the genes. Unknown functions. Of how many? More than 50% genes which we discovered. Next is the repetitive sequences make up very large portion of the human genome. So in our genome, the repetitive sequences are there continuously. Very less part is there in the human genome which is useful or which is not repetiting. So repeated sequences make large proportion. Repetitive sequences, large proportion of the genome. Next point we have, that is point number 6. Less than 2% of the genome codes for protein. So as I told you, repetitive sequence makes the large part and it is non-coding. Only less than 2% will code for proteins. So it will code for proteins, means it is useful or coding in nature. Next, number 7 is The repetitive sequences help in physical and the genomic mapping. These are the structures with no direct coding functions, but they have importance on the chromosome structure, dynamics, and evolution. So repetitive sequence, I'm just writing in the abbreviated form. Repetitive sequence, what is their use? They give the importance on, or they have the importance to define chromosomal structure. Other than that, they dynamics and evolution. Dynamics and evolution. Remember, these repetitive sequences are non-coding, or they do not code directly. No direct coding functions are there. So we'll write this point. No direct coding functions. Clear? Next point. The chromosome 1 has most genes and chromosome Y has the fewest. So maximum number of genes on which chromosome? Chromosome 1, and minimum number on Y chromosome. Okay, chromosome 1 has 2,968 genes. 2,968 genes, and chromosome Y has just 231 genes. And one of the gene is SPF gene, which is present on Y chromosome, and it has around 14 base pairs. Next is the scientists identified about the locations where single base differences are there. The complete genome is same, just one single base differences are there, which are known as SNPs. So I'll clear the screen and I'll write it now. SNP. Full form of SNP is important: single nucleotide polymorphism. Single nucleotide polymorphism. Because here the complete genome is same, only the difference goes with one single base pair, and this occurs in the humans. It is pronounced as SNPs. SNPs are pronounced as SNPs, and this information gives us the revolutionary processes for finding the location of chromosomes, for finding out the disease related, and to trace the human history. So SNPs have great importance in identifying the chromosomes which cause a particular genetic disease, and also to find the traces of the human history. So I hope this topic is clear. Please like this video, share this video with your friends, and subscribe the channel if you haven't done it yet.